All right, welcome to the first filmed episode of The Other Side, a dream podcast of mine that I've been hoping to work on for quite some time now. I am joined here with Ezio Valeri, founder of Valero Clothing. Thank you for joining me, Ezio.
No problem, man.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good. I'm excited to do this and honestly a little nervous. But and I don't want it to sound fake or forced. Like, I just want to have a chill, casual conversation. Yeah. I think these chairs do the job.
I'm slumped in these right now.
So I want to talk to you about several different things, but I guess I want to begin with some fun stuff. And so we've known each other since kindergarten now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, which puts us at how many?
17 years? 17 years. 16, 17?
2005 to 2021. That would be, is that, I can't do math right now.
I can't.
16 years. 16, yes. About 16 years or so. And we've been through quite some wild times. I was thinking about this before you came over, but do you have a favorite memory from Holy Family? Not to put you on the spot. I don't know if you'd have one or not. But I was thinking about stuff that we all have been a part of.
Holy Family, man.
And I have so many pictures that I look through constantly. Yeah. Old pictures that I found on the computer here and my mom's old cameras and stuff like that. It's nuts, the stuff that I've pulled up that I didn't know existed.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I have fun memories from the dodgeball games that we had. Remember when we had those?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I was thinking about, which it's so bad now, and I hope that this isn't offensive, but and because St. Patrick's Day just passed, we always played Irish basketball every St. Patrick's Day.
And then you guys found out I wasn't Irish, that I was Italian. And you guys tried to disqualify me.
The biggest plot twist of 5th grade. I swear to God. And we played that at probably 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade every St. Patrick's Day. Yep. And it was just no rules, just us pushing each other around and things like that.
It was bad.
So stupid. But yeah, no.
And then the entire structure of the game collapsed when you guys found out that I was Italian.
We just played it. I don't even remember how it went, but I remember that when we found out you were Italian.
Tim was offended. Tim was offended, man.
But it's it was in front of us the entire, we knew you were Italian since kindergarten. It wasn't that big of a deal. But
it begins with I.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And actually, another thing I wanted to bring up too, and I mentioned this, I don't know if you ever saw the first podcast I did with Donnie.
I hope he doesn't mind me shouting him out, but one of my good friends now, Ezio Valeri, I don't know if you know him, but I graduated with him. I went to elementary school with him, and back in elementary school, he would talk about Star Wars all the time, and with some of our other friends, he would talk about it all the time, and I felt so bad all the time. I used to make fun of him for it. I did not like it. Just because I simply did not understand it, and it was just always something that I couldn't get into as a kid, and it kind of made me upset and jealous in a way. And in later years in high school, I apologized to him. And I couldn't apologize enough because I felt I was kind of a butthole as a kid to him. So I feel really bad about that. But him and I are friends now. We still stay in touch, and he's got his own clothing company, so it's going really, really well. So I'm really happy for him.
But I brought up Star Wars and how I feel bad, so bad, and this is the perfect chance to publicly apologize for all the times that I used to roast you about Star Wars.
It was bad.
It was very bad, and I was definitely a bully back in the day. I hope I'm not a bully anymore, but I am truly sorry for that. And the thing I want to say though too is I'm so pissed at myself because now I like Star Wars and I watch it more. And I remember my mom when the new trilogy came out, that was the first one that I had seen fully, The Force Awakens, I think it was. Yeah. She took me, my brother, to the IMAX in Dixon City, and we went to go see that, and it was an awesome experience. And then from there, I caught up with Braden on all the old ones, and then we watched the newer ones as they came out now. And I know you've been pretty vocal. You're not too much of a fan of the new ones, right?
No, not really, no.
Are you?
I think, so The Force Awakens was a good entry to start off the trilogy.
Yeah.
It set up old characters, new characters, everything. But Rian Johnson, man. Rian Johnson, and you could tell that the entirety of The Rise of Skywalker was literally just trying to retcon everything Rian Johnson did with the material, and that's why it didn't live up to the potential, because Snoke was supposed to be the main villain at the very end of the new trilogy. He's gone. Yeah. They set up some kind of relationship with Kylo and Rey, and JJ was like, okay, well, now they kiss.
Yeah.
So he had barely anything to work with because everything he did in the first film was just almost gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I forget if I had if I had seen all the other ones, I don't know how he got back down here, but Sheldon might be joining us now.
Man, dude, I love this cat. He's so
Well,
chunky.
I guess he's gonna join us.
How are you?
But
Yeah.
I forget if I saw all the old ones before The Last Jedi or if I watched them after. I think it might have been right after. But like, I liked The Last Jedi, but I knew it was different for like old Star Wars fan versus new Star Wars fans, and that was like a completely big contrast. I remember we were even talking about it in Gotham's class, like when that one came out and how controversial that seemed to
Hurt
make
my
everyone.
heart a little bit, yeah.
Well, I have to say, what do you think about The Mandalorian now? Because I've been watching that.
So I absolutely love The Mandalorian. One of the best TV shows I've watched.
Yeah.
And that's not because it's Star Wars, but because it's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's stupid fun at a lot of the times. And the season finale for both was fantastic, especially the second season. You already know I was almost crying when when the finale happened.
I was gonna ask you about that, and see, I waited like a week or so before I was able to watch it, and I missed, or I saw it. Stupid YouTube does the thumbnails where they give away spoilers.
Yeah.
So I saw Luke's face, and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like that sucks."
Yep.
And what's up, Justin?
Hey, what's good?
All right. Anyway, I'll edit that part out. Yeah, so that was spoiled on me, which stunk, and it was. I really enjoyed it, but like as a casual Star Wars fan, like I can't appreciate it. I feel as much as like the hardcore Star Wars fans or the Star Wars fan base.
And did you watch the Clone Wars show or
the animated series? No, I've never seen that.
So then, if you did, you would have like really got attached to Bo-Katan, the other Mandalorian, and Ahsoka especially, and that's why it was so major because they were like huge canon characters in the animated series.
Well, I think Sheldon, come on. You gonna sit with me? We'll see if he sits here. How long he sits here for? Anyway, he's already getting up.
Yeah, you'll have to rename the podcast to like Furcast or something.
Well, hopefully he just stays over there. I don't know what he'll do, but anyway, I remember you and I saw the Clone Wars at some point down here at Berwick.
Yeah, that was the movie, and the movie kicked off the animated series.
Okay. Yeah. No, like I just wanted to ask and see what your opinion was on the whole Star Wars thing now, because I know we used to talk about that in high school. But
it's pretty good. I don't know how to feel about Cara Dune. Like
the person that got fired.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What's her name? The actress?
Oh gosh, I'm blanking right now. I know exactly who she is too. She was in one of the Fast and Furious movies.
And she was also a fighter too.
Yeah. Whoever the actress was that played her, she got fired for, I think it was just
because she made a post comparing modern day Republicans to Jews in the Holocaust.
That's right, I did hear about that. What I saw was that she was getting some platform then that they were going to make a movie, or like she was making a movie through like the Daily Wire or something like that, which is like a Republican
I actually saw
conservative.
that. It wasn't. I wouldn't call it a movie because they did an hour and a half or so kind of sit down interview with Ben Shapiro, and I actually watched it. It was pretty interesting.
That's where I saw it. Ben Shapiro. Yep. So it was just an interview kind of thing. Then
it was just an interview talking about like how the kind of double standard with Disney is. Yeah. Because Pedro Pascal, he posted a social media post that said it was like the Confederate flag, and it said lost. Nazi flag of Germany, lost, and then it showed the Trump flag and it said lost. And he posted that, and then he went he was asking her about is that like a double standard, because he posted something political but he didn't get talked about.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great point to bring up, because I mean obviously this is like my goal here is to talk about political issues and social issues and people that disagree with me, but have civil conversations with them and not fight about it. What is your stance on something like that, and then also like the double standards that you see nowadays? And it could be any example, but I'm constantly seeing stuff in the news, and I mean I might be biased or one-sided because I mostly do watch like Fox or Republican-esque things, but it's always interesting to hear from the other side. Like what. Or are you sick of cancel culture as much as everybody else, or do you think that it's justified in certain ways? Because actually, I was just bringing up, and not to interrupt, but I was just bringing up with my dad today. We went out to breakfast, but like Mr. Potato Head and Aunt Jemima and all these other people.
Yeah. Wasn't it Uncle Ben too?
Uncle Ben, yeah. And like I don't know, I thought, in my opinion, like I think that like glorifies them in a way, like a good way. I don't know. Like I don't know if that. I never thought of it being considered racist until these other people bring it up.
I was just like, yo, Aunt Jemima's a good product.
Yeah, and
I always use
Mr.
that.
Potato Head was Mr. Potato Head. I saw.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a toy.
Yeah, and then also another one that I saw too, Dr. Seuss. Which, granted, I saw stuff that I was talking to a friend last week about it, and like a lot of people were up in arms about that, and I understand both sides of the story because if you do look at some of his old cartoons and animations, they are like extremely racist. Yeah. I saw one and I was just like, I had no idea.
Did you see the one that depicted the Asians coming from Washington and Oregon and then going to California?
No, I saw the one about like buy a like N-word, and it was like a bunch of them in a room, and they were drawn very badly.
Then there was the Asian one where it showed like a huge crowd of animated caricatures of Asians.
Yeah.
Very stereotypical, like with how they dressed and how he made them look.
Yeah.
And they were just swarming, and it said Washington, Oregon, and they were coming over the mountains into California, and it was something about like taking our jobs, something like that.
No. Well, the thing about him, and this is what I heard. I mean, I don't know how accurate or true. I'm not a big Dr. Seuss. Like, I like some of the basic books that we used to read as kids, but like I heard that he grew over time. Like, but I don't know what the right word to say. Like, he grew seeing both sides, kind of thing.
He kind of grew out of that old personality.
Yeah, and that he got more mature with age, and like I forget what the book's called. But he made one about like the differences of people. Like there was something. I just heard the name of it too. Like I want to say it starts with an S or something.
What I saw on Mulberry Street?
No, not that.
I know that was a book.
There was one, but it was like these creatures, and like some had like markings on them, and others didn't. And it was like comparing the contrast between differences in appearance, kind of thing. I forget what the story was called, and I don't even know if I've ever read it besides like the basic ones. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like that's a specific example, I think, and like. Should they have stopped the publication of those things? Yeah, but I mean, I don't know like the answer to that, whether that's right or wrong, because how many other things are out there that are probably
pretty bad,
either just as bad or if not worse, and that it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum someone's on. Like, that's someone's work put out, and I don't.
Well, the thing is, people don't realize that it was the agency who preserves his legacy.
Yes.
They made the decision. It wasn't public outcry. They literally sat down and they decided to remove these 6 books because of the depictions that were in them and everything. It wasn't, hey, I just found this. I opened up this Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
Let's cancel it. Let's contact the agency. No, they did it on their own accord.
Okay, I did not see. It's great that I'm talking to you now, 'cause these are things that I did not know. Yeah, and I mean, I saw another one that was canceled, and I mean, I don't know if the show actually got canceled or not. But Paw Patrol, did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
I saw there was a post that I saw. It was like, we're welcoming. It was like, do you ever see those Stairway to Heaven posts? And like, usually I've always seen them with Harambe, but
rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. But the one that I saw was like, there was the Washington Redskins logo. There was Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben. Paw Patrol was up. Like, the dog from Paw Patrol was up there, and then Mr. Potato was walking it up, and I was like, wait, what did they do to Paw Patrol? And I heard that it was something about like because they were depicting cops. I don't know. I don't watch Paw Patrol.
I think didn't that happen after George Floyd?
It might have, and I mean I'm not,
because they canceled a lot of shows like Live PD, and
I heard about that.
Yeah,
like Cops was like up, or that was a big thing too. Like they didn't want to show cops anymore.
Yeah, and I think they got away with the Paw Patrol that was a cop. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
See, and that's like, I don't know, what goes too far, but this will be a good transitioning point into, I mean, I know you go to Bloomsburg University, and what's your major again there?
Marketing and professional selling. Okay.
And so you're a junior now. Mm-hmm. You're only spending 4 years there, right?
Yeah, as of right now, yeah.
I've seen on your stories and stuff before through social media and things, like there's a pretty active like political climate there. I don't know if that's the right way to say it either, but like there's a lot of people that are definitely outspoken there and have no problem with speaking their mind out loud, and to an extent I believe that that's all great and freedom of speech and all that. What have you either like, I don't know what way I want to ask this, but like, what have been the big things that you've seen people like demonstrate for or like advocate for there? I mean, I know probably more so recently it's probably been like Black Lives Matter and obviously because of the election and everything.
Even before Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and everything, there was always an outspoken thing against racism.
Yes.
Because what happened was, and I was part of this protest. What happened was there was a group of college students, and they were drunk, and there was also one of them being black. And there was a white college student, and he was pretending to do a slave auction.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
That was on like Barstool or something. Like, or
No,
like
it
one
wasn't
of
on
those.
Barstool. It was just posted on Snapchat.
Okay.
Then it got screen recorded, of course, and then it got sent around. And and he was also aiming it towards the black student. The black student was laughing about it, whatever. But I mean,
yeah.
come on, he was dropping the N-word left and right, and just announcing prices and everything. And I'm like, you're drunk, right? But you still have some extent of control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So after that, there was a huge outcry, because there have been other instances of racism on our campus. And then there was a huge protest that gathered. It circled the entire, main green area. And then we just marched through the not streets, but pathways.
Yeah.
All the way into like the government, not the government building, the main facility of the campus, which is Carver Hall, the one that has the golden point on it.
The gold nipple
The
or
gold
whatever
nipple.
everybody calls it. Yeah.
So we marched all the way down, and the president of the university, who is pretty sus in himself and his actions in the past.
Oh, God.
He delivered remarks. They were kind of just like,
Probably for the camera kind of thing.
kind of, yeah. That's what it seemed like. He was like, oh yeah, we're behind our students, and it's like, okay, well, give us something off the script.
Yeah.
Or give us something that sounds like it's from you. Because anyone who's going to be a part of the facility is going to be like, yeah, we're behind our students, we're behind this. Okay, give a different remark or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the biggest thing. And it's mostly been about that. It's been about racism even before George Floyd. And then another one was college rape and sexual assault, because that does go on a lot. And they even have, I forget the name of it. I think it was called like the Red Zone or something like that. And it was when the majority of sexual assault on campus happens, and it was like the first 3 weeks or so when they come onto campus.
Do you guys get the alerts on your phone and stuff when that happens?
Like Amber? Like not Amber.
Not like Amber alerts, but like I know Penn State, we like I'm signed up for text alerts, and like my parents get it too, but like it seems at least like once a week we all get a text that like,
when it says like something
there's a
happened.
forcible sex offense has occurred on Penn State campus.
No, we actually do get that.
Okay.
We also get it for around the town. Like there was a robbery at a gas station, and they're like, oh yeah, armed robber, so and so.
Yeah, I mean it's good that they do that, but the amount of texts that you get is kind of sad and sickening in a way.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary.
For sure.
And one thing that we won't understand is how it feels to be a female.
Yeah.
Walking, on the campus at night or just in the city or something like that. Because we walk around by ourselves, and we put our AirPods and whatever.
Yeah.
We don't pay attention to it. But like if we were a girl, it'd be
story.
scary. If I'd be looking down an alleyway every time I walk down a sidewalk and stuff like that. So
yeah, and it's I mean, it is something that obviously now there's more light been shed or brought to it that like. As males, we do so many different things that we don't even question
realize,
or realize, and like it is simple for us to take a walk down the street at night without even thinking twice
unless you're in like a really shady neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, that's another story within itself there too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like at least around here in this area, you don't really see too much of that. I mean, at least from my experience, probably your experience as well. I mean, I guess this would be another good transition point too, if you don't mind me asking, like. I remember seeing a post of yours, like right around the election, like when you wore, I think you wore a shirt to the voting thing.
Yeah.
It was like son of an immigrant.
Son of an immigrant, yeah.
Right? So your dad, who, I mean, your family's always been great to me, your grandmother and your dad throughout the years and stuff, whether it be like driving us around or I was thinking about just before too, I was like, how many things could I talk to him about and get in within this amount of time? Like we went to New York there right after we graduated and everything else. And I mean, all the birthday parties you used to have at your house. Your dad, so he immigrated from
Venezuela.
Venezuela,
yeah.
Okay. And then when did he come?
I believe it was 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has he always lived in Berwick? Or?
No, so he illegally immigrated from Venezuela to Florida.
Yeah.
Then he went to work in New Orleans.
Okay.
And then that's where he met my mom online, and then he went to Berwick.
Okay.
So.
All right. And yeah. So I mean, like, what does that? And you were born here, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
born at
that
the
today.
hospital right
I was
over there,
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking about that today, and I was like, I mean, I've known this kid for 16 years now, and I'm like, yeah, I think he was born here.
We're gonna
like,
have another birth gate like
Oh,
Obama.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what? How? I don't want to say what importance, but like, how significant is that to you that you are the son of an immigrant? Obviously, you wearing that shirt, like, that meant something to you, especially in voting and things like that. And it's a great opportunity as Americans here that we have to, everybody can vote as long as you're registered and things like that. It's great. And, I think that's a very special, unique opportunity that, we're granted here. And other countries have it, but I mean, I can't speak factually. Like, I don't know how many countries don't versus how many countries do. But like, how significant is that to you that, like, you're making your own path here as the son of an immigrant? I don't know, like, if you have anything to say about that, but that was something I wanted to ask.
So with being the son of an immigrant, it definitely opened my eyes on the situations around immigration and how other immigrants are. My dad came here illegally, but as soon as he got here, he got a job, he paid taxes, and there's never been a day in his life that he was here that he didn't have a job and pay taxes. And of course, he's a citizen now, so he voted in the past 2 elections. And because of this, it not only opened up my eyes to it because it's a different standpoint, but it's it kind of is why I have sympathy for immigrants. Because my dad, he wanted to leave Venezuela, one of the most dangerous countries in the world. He wanted to make a life here. He wanted to have a future. He wanted to use his education and his skills and everything, and he wanted a life. And the American dream is that you come here and you could be anything that you want. And that's what my dad did. And there's a lot of people who have such a bad taste in their mouths when it comes to immigrants. However, the majority of them are just like my father, who, even if they come here illegally, they pay taxes, they get a job. Some of them probably pay more taxes than American citizens do.
No, I believe that for sure.
So that's kind of what it did for me. And there are some immigrants that, or not immigrants, but Hispanics or even Asians that come into my workplace and, like, shoe department. There was an Asian family that came in with a 95-year-old grandmother who's from Japan. That was nuts to me.
Really?
Like, she's 95 years old, and she still looked fantastic. And, like, health-wise. I'm not coming
at the gilfs or the grandmas.
But they wanted help, and no one was helping them. Not my workers, because I was an assistant store manager. They were helping other customers, but they were asking other customers, hey, do you know where, this is good? And no one was helping them. Yeah. And, I spent an hour and a half helping them find what would be good for the grandmother's feet, because she had a lot of health issues with her feet, walking and everything. And, when they walked out the door, and my coworker, he said to me, he's like, why'd you spend so much time with them? And I'm like, because a lot of people aren't going to help them. Yeah. And that's how it is. Just because they're Asian or they're Hispanic, or maybe they're from the Caribbean, or anything, and just because they might be an immigrant, or just because they look different, a lot of people won't help them. And my dad went through the same thing. He's been discriminated against even to this day because of his accent.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, has he experienced animosity, or even have you experienced that or anything like that? That was going to be my next question.
I haven't, and that's because my dad always says this. He says, and this he's talking about himself, and he says, when they see me, they think I'm one of them. When I talk, they know I'm not one of them. Yeah. I haven't, because I'm white. Yeah. He looks white, but when he talks, you can tell he has a thick, heavy accent. Yeah. And he's been discriminated against in the workplace by customers that he helps, employers that made fun of him, just because of how he talks. And that happens way too much. It's literally 2021, and my dad has been dealing with that since 1992. Yeah. So
that's what, 30-something years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought all that up, because it's so easy, obviously, as a white male, and with everything white privilege and all that stuff too. And I don't want to get too, like, against myself or any other white person, but like, and this is something I wanted to bring up as well, and I want to bring up later on when I talk to Jimmy too, is like, I live with 3 girls at school, and it makes for an interesting time.
Yeah.
It's great, and they're all great people for sure. But the one time I was having a conversation with 2 of them about like politics and things that are going on and stuff, and my one roommate said, "Nothing will ever I forget how she said it, but she was like, nothing will ever be more superior than the white man." And I was like, you know, it's something that's always stuck in my mind ever since she said that. That was like back in October, November, or something like that, and it makes you question, it makes you think. You know, you don't notice it as the white man, obviously, because you are that.
We
like,
just kind of live.
You live it, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We don't look at our hands and be like, yeah, I'm white.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so, like, you know, especially people that are older now, like when they hear that, like white privilege, are like, you know, people got to make things for themselves. Like, it doesn't matter what you are and things like that. And to a degree, I see both sides. I think that no matter who you are, what color you are, it doesn't matter. Work hard and good things will come to you. But then also at the same time, like, is there a certain privilege or satisfaction that is given? And satisfaction might be the wrong word, but is there something given to, you know, white people just because they're white? You know, and like, you know, you see that statistically in like job interviews or like, you know, job hirings and things like that, or just anywhere. And I mean, especially now, something like in the world of government and the world of Hollywood and all these other things are working on becoming more diverse. And I saw something about Oreos with transgender people and Coke with being less white. Like, you know, there's so much going on, and I'm kind of going on a tangent here, like rambling on, and I don't really know, you know, where I'm getting with it. But I mean, like, do you think, you know, that like white privilege is prevalent? Is that something that truly exists? Is that there?
I think so. And the thing is, acknowledging white privilege isn't being against yourself. It's not like being like, oh, I hate whites, I hate who I am.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging it is the biggest thing. Yeah. Because, you know, we're gonna experience something differently than someone who's a person of color, who is Hispanic or an immigrant and such, and that in itself is a privilege. We're gonna get something that is better in terms of like what's going to happen to us than someone who is black or Asian or anything. So white privilege does exist, and it's gone to a point where like businesses now have to have quotas for hiring people of color and diversity. If there was not something going on, they wouldn't have that. But you know, something had to come up like, hey, we're all white. We're only hiring white people. Why? And, you know, some could say like, oh, maybe someone who was a different, you know, race, they didn't have the qualifications. But, you know, there are some times where people have the qualifications, but because the other person is white, they'll get the hire. So, it does exist. And, you know, we're going to experience things, especially being white and a male, we're going to experience things a lot differently from, you know, people who are not white or who are not a male. Like, so
that's a good point. And I think like my main goal here with this podcast was not coming at people that have, you know, different views or different opinions. And I'm right there with you on these things. Like, people, the thing that frustrates me and the thing that I kind of wanted to prove wrong with this, although I wanted to focus on my guests and what matters to them, at the same time I kind of wanted to prove that, not that it's something I'm working at, but something over the years at least. Like, I was definitely one of those firm Trump supporters in 2016, and I still am. I'm not going to deny that, but at the same time, I've seen that there's a lot of bullshit on both sides, completely, and there's not a right side, there's not a wrong side necessarily, and that I think we truly need to meet in the middle. But the thing that frustrates me so much is that people just see this image of me that because I like Trump, I'm this stark racist,
you're one
anti-masker,
of those that
storm the Capitol, and I mean, I don't, you know, there's people that deal with it worse than me. But I mean, like, you know, through social media, what we were just talking about before with the mask thing, and like, you know, that kind of thing, it frustrates me because like I'm down to have down to always have a conversation, sit down with people
like we are right now.
Yeah, and that's what I believe the only way to like change or like bring about change is to sit down and have these conversations.
It's public discourse.
Yeah, exactly. And I, you know, with everything that's going on, especially with this past year between the riots with Black Lives Matter, or just people like rioting or protesting about COVID, all these different things that are going on, like I don't necessarily know if that's a right way, if that's a wrong way, like what is there to do. But also too, sometimes conversations don't work, like they don't go anywhere. Like you think you're doing something but they don't. And so like that's why I appreciate you and then everybody else I'm gonna have on as well, like being willing to come on and talk with me and like have these things, because like I said, one person respectfully declined to be on here because of their position. I have no problem with that. That's that's their business, and I completely respect that. But everybody else, and like I said, she respectfully declined as well. But everybody else was like so happy to join me in this, and like it meant the world to me, because these were people, especially like I still obviously consider us friends and stuff, but we're not like super close. We don't hang out too much outside of
life kind of got
and that happens to everybody, and I see that now, especially after graduation. You have a few friends and things
you
like
go
that.
to Penn State, and then I'm still here at home in Bloom,
and I come back and forth all the time too, and and that's why, and not to go off on a tangent or anything else here too, but the people here are so much different than the people out there, and I've been caught in my own web saying this, that people are fake out there, but someone told me the other day, and I really admire this, they were like, you need to find the similarities in those groups out there that you share with those people, and that's what you have with those people. And the person was like, you're not going to find the people that you have back home, like that's why they're special, that's why they're there. And so like I have a couple good friends out there that I consider like really close friends, whereas like here I'm always so excited to come home and see everybody, and it's always like I never left kind of thing. But yeah, I'm already that'll probably get edited out or something. I'm already getting off topic. But the last thing and the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about is obviously Valero and your Valero clothing and everything about it. If you can tell us, or tell me and for me and the audience, like where it began, how it began, what you want to accomplish with it. And I know that's a lot of questions at once, but also too, like I've seen you be very vocal on your on social media platforms and that stuff as well, about like advocating for good messages and good causes and things like that. A lot of the things that are going on now, what you want to do with that. So if you could just talk about like that and just go on for however long you want, talk about whatever you want with it. And I just want to say too, I bought a pink Valero hoodie, one of the most comfortable hoodies that I have. I'm so pissed I left it at Penn State, but this one he brought me here, and it's also very comfortable. I'm sitting in it. I hope he doesn't mind that I'm like sweating a little bit.
That's all good. They're hot, man.
Yeah.
They do their purpose.
But they are very nice, very comfortable.
You look good in pink.
Thanks. And yeah, so again, that's out in my closet at Penn State, or else I would have brought it. And it's funny because here I actually have on my paper written under Ezio Valero hoodie, and I can't believe that I forgot it. I was going through my checklist, like everything, and I cannot believe I forgot it. But yeah, if you can talk about that a little bit, I would love to.
It started in 2019. The original idea came up in June of 2019.
Yeah.
2 months before it even came out, and I was a streamer. I would get like 2 viewers whenever I streamed, whatever, and I was making a merch store. And what happened was I was messing around with the fonts, and I'm like, okay, well, what if I just made something up? And I was typing it in, and I'm like, okay, so I had Valeri down, my last name, and I'm like, no, what if I combine the O? And I'm not even joking. I literally took the O out of my first name, put it there, and I'm like, okay, and it was just regular like Cirrus font, like I didn't even touch this thing. And then I'm like, okay, so I was going through the fonts on the editor, and I saw a cursive one. It was called Playwright Script, and I selected that one. I'm like, yo, that looks really smooth. And I'm like, okay. And then what happened was it was black font, and it was on a white background. I'm like, okay. So then I changed the background to gray, like a kind of steel gray, and I'm like, this looks legit. What did I just make? And I stopped working on the merch store. I stopped streaming. And I'm like, what if I make a brand? And I was just like, okay, I need a motto. And I'm like, modern to the touch. Yeah. It was cheesy. I was a cornball, man. I'm so glad we moved past that one. And then I just started like just slapping designs on. I'm like, okay, so here's a graphic in a box, and then here's a kind of staircase one, and then here's the other cursive. I just started slapping. And I'm like, well, I need a logo. I only have my name, essentially. Yeah. And then I was like, so I've always liked Eagles.
Yeah. I was going to ask you where the
Philadelphia
bird
Eagles.
came from. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so my name in Latin means eagle,
Okay.
and my last name Valeri means strength and good health. So that was also a reason why I combined the two. It was like, okay, so an eagle represents, individuality, strength, and courage, a lot of things, but my last name means strength and good health, and my O, is because my name means an eagle.
Yeah.
So that's how it came out, and that's how we got the eagle. And then after that, I was like, all right, we're dropping the day, boys. It was just August, school didn't even start up yet, and I dropped it, got like 30 sales in the first day.
Really?
Yeah, I forget how many in the first week, but it was nuts, and people were just buying multiple T-shirts at once, and that's how the sales, the orders came up, and then after that, I was on Squarespace, the website builder.
Yeah.
Man, corniest website I've ever made in my life. Okay, stock images. Just the only thing I had of myself was just me like with my shirt on. That's the only photo shoot I had. It's the only prototype I had, and that's the only thing. So I just had 50 pictures of me everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this looks terrible. So, and I started off on Teespring.
Is that another?
So yeah, this is how bad it was, man.
Okay.
I had this corny website. You click on buy now, it takes you to another website that I didn't even own that had nothing about Valero on it, and it was called Teespring, and literally their logo is a little spring there. I'm like,
That might have been where I bought it from.
You
I
did.
I think I texted you, and I was like, "Is this right?" Or something.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
bought it from there. It was bad. Like
So did they take like part of the profit then?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
And that's how it is with suppliers, except Teespring takes less.
Yeah.
So essentially they're like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost, and then this is how much you're going to take out. So put the price, and then you get the rest of the profit. But then I was like, no, I need to get away from here.
Yeah.
So then I made another website, and then we also found a supplier, and that was about like a month and a half in. And then after that, our inventory started growing. And the main mission of the brand, because I was like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
Because I wanted a merch store. So is that why? But, after a while I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people, they love the colors on it, they love the designs. And, I was like, what if I could make a brand that everything that's on it was influenced by the customers? That's why I have the monthly feedback polls.
Yeah.
Because they were like, okay, what if you had a discount rack or something like that? We gave out the light collection. It took 2 days after the feedback. What if you had more colors? Then we brought in like 30 different varieties for our T-shirts and hoodies. And, that's kind of how it was. So that when someone goes into a mall, maybe later on when there's a physical store, and they go into a mall and they're like, okay, well, here's Nike. They don't reply to any comments on Instagram. And I'm just kind of like sending my emails to customer service.
Yeah.
And then they look over and there's like, oh, there's American Eagle. Well, I'm paying $50 for a canvas hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then they look at Valero and they're like, there's the shirt that I voted on. There's the shoes that I voted on. There's my feedback. And that's why.
That's awesome.
And it was also to give people an outlet to kind of express themselves. 1 year ago today, we introduced our Soaring Eagle with the promise of becoming a business focused around you. We promised you quality clothes to enjoy with your family and friends. But first, let's see what we accomplished together in just 1 year. We helped in relief efforts during the devastating bushfires in Australia, and we assisted in relief efforts for both the people and the wildlife. We joined the fight against the coronavirus global pandemic, with donations going to the CDC Foundation at home and the UN Global Fund. For Earth Day, we showed our green thumb, and we planted trees across the United States while introducing eco-friendly clothing options to our storefront. We started the conversation surrounding mental health and helped bring awareness to it. With that, we gave survivors and victims a platform to share their stories. We joined the fight against cancer with hopes of soon finding a cure, with donations going towards the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. In
In our last initiative, we joined relief efforts to help Beirut and its people recover from the tragic event that engulfed the city. In just 1 year, we've done so much together. And as the year passed, Valero progressed as a business, and with that, we grew with all of you, creating our most advanced storefront yet and creating bigger projects for all of you to enjoy. We created a partnership program for up-and-coming creators, and now we have a diverse growing team of 5 future Valero partners. We've added countless color options to our brand, and our library of designs has been growing since day one. We have 5 new product collections on the way, along with 3 new business programs. We're happy to give you a teaser for them as they will all be shown off during our first ever business showcase. We are bringing back updated versions of our headgear, pants, and accessories with better detailed designs, more variety, and new design options. We have a lot in store for you. None of this could have been possible without all of you, the Valero family. We hoped we lived up to our promises so far, as you've always been the center of who we are today. Thank you for believing.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're black, white, trans, gay, bisexual, straight, anything. You could go onto our store and you could find your favorite color. You could find something that really brings out your outfit style, and you could be like, that. This community supports that, and that's kind of what we're going for as a community of not only the business but consumers, where we support that, we push for that, we want you to be you, and that was another big reason. And it's mostly individuality, customer outreach, and inclusivity. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of brands now, especially like Nike, people are like, oh, you're only saying Black Lives Matter because it's a trend going on right now, it's a hot topic. And I'm like, what if we took the inclusivity and we just put it into the foundation? Yeah. Not because this was 2019, this wasn't, it wasn't
before
big,
everything
before
happened,
everything before 2020, that
so you were ahead of the game.
Yeah. And I'm like, because I also put in my own values in.
Yeah.
Because I wanted people to enjoy a product, and that the community that they join, the Valero family as we call it, they support them and they're just like them. And that's what I try to do with the models. That's why I try to showcase, hey, send us a picture of you wearing our merchandise like you did.
Yeah.
And we'll put it on the website. We'll put it on our Instagram. And it's not because like, hey, there's someone who bought our product. No, it's because like, hey, this person who's black, this person who's white, this is a woman, this is a man, this is a this and a that. They are expressing themselves. Mm-hmm. And we want to show like, hey, this is our community. We're not like a community of just like black and white, straight, gay, anything. This is us. Like, we are the entirety of the community. And whatever you are, you fit in. And that's what I'm trying to do with the models. That's what I'm trying to do, with basically anything. And that's just kind of how it is right now. So we had this the Live Free update, and that was the biggest update. We completely restructured the website. We completely revamped. We did a rebrand. Updated logo. We have a new eagle. We partnered up with a Frisian American guy in Arizona. He's a freelance artist, and Frisian is kind of like Dutch. It's a mixture of Dutch and German, like in that region.
Yeah.
And we partnered up with him. He made the new eagle, and then after that, Valero was like modern with black and white, and I was just like, how can we push this message if we're just black and white?
Yeah.
And we push it over with a lot of color. We push it over with a lot of vibrancy. It wasn't just black and white. It wasn't modernity.
Mm-hmm.
And then we completely revamped, how the quality was of the prints and the embroidery. We put over 100 new products in our inventory now, and there was delays because of Christmas time and COVID, so our supplier got hit with demand, and January came, so we're already a month delayed.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be November, now it's December, and then January came, and January we were ironing out all the technical issues, making sure that it was smooth and fast, because one of the biggest things was not only the rebranding, but it was also the accessibility, so that you can do everything on one page, fast, quick, responsive. And January was basically ironing everything out, getting everything ready. We were supposed to do it in February, and then we just had a really slow time bringing in all the new stuff, because we have shoes coming in, we have hats, we have jackets, we have this and that, and we have 5 new categories now that are coming to the website instead of just shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies.
Yeah.
So it was tough. And then we did a final feedback poll. I'm pretty sure you saw that.
Probably,
on Instagram.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
hey, your answers are really critical. You either give us the green light or you send us a message with your vote saying we need to take a step back and work longer on it. Everyone sent the feedback in. It was a vast majority liked the new rebrand. They liked the new changes, and we're like, okay, we have the green light. And of course, every time that we do a community feedback, we also put it and keep it on our page so that you can see what changes came with the feedback.
That's cool.
Because the whole brand is not only about what I said, but it's also about transparency.
Yeah.
You get to be in the mix whenever something happens.
Something that no company does at all.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like,
it's a
okay,
niche.
we're experiencing problems. Here's why.
Yeah.
Here's what's coming. Oh, we're sorry about the delays. Here's a discount, for the rest of the week. Stuff like that,
Yeah.
We reward customers for patience because they're supporting us. They're very patient. People have been patient for the past 3 months with delays, and it means the world, because it's nuts. Constant working till 4 a.m. with my college classes and everything.
That's what I was gonna ask too. How do you, not to interrupt, but how do you handle college on top of running a business at the same time,
and then having a job,
and having a job?
So I have a full-time job. Always have since I started college, and it's 40 hours a week, minimum 30, with college classes, including 3-hour-long night classes as well, and then everything with the business. And it's all about time management, which is a big thing that you learn in business.
Struggle with that.
Yeah, so do I. It's hard, man. And it's I come home from work, and it's 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I go, I do quizzes and assignments that are due at 11:30, 11:10, whatever, and then I'm it's already 12.
So do you work after that
yeah.
more?
Oh, yeah.
And with the business and stuff?
On average, till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really? What time do you have to get up in the morning?
8.
So you're running on 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah, well, that's if I go, not go past 3 o'clock.
Oh, jeez.
Because last night I was up till 4,
Wow.
and I had to wake up at 8 this morning.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's why I sleep through all my alarms now.
Yeah.
And then when I wake up, I'm oh, it's 9:30. That's when my first class is. So then I'm a few minutes late to class, or sometimes I sleep into class.
Yeah.
But,
I'm right there with you.
yeah.
There's some classes where if I know I can miss it, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I can't afford to miss them. So, yeah, it's hard, but you have to learn how to do time management.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 1 or 2 hours where I sit down and I'm gonna play a video game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
have some time.
I'm gonna watch YouTube. I'm gonna take a shower. so
I'm gonna eat.
I'm gonna eat. Sometimes I just shove a bunch of cheese sticks in my pocket and go off to my room.
Yeah.
And it's just it looks like I'm fasting a little bit because.
I know it's bad. I mean, I have a job at the movie theater up there at school, but they've been closed since November, December time because of COVID and everything. They're reopening at the end of the month, and I mean, I was working a couple nights a week. Now I haven't worked, but like I still find myself so consumed and not a day free with the classes and clubs and everything. Like literally, especially this semester, I don't have a free day during the week, and I mean, it keeps me busy. But I question. There are people that do even more than me, especially even someone like you, for sure, that's running their business and a full-time job on top of school.
Yeah.
How the hell do you do it? Like it blows my mind.
Yeah,
but
the biggest thing is to go on the notepad in your phone and make an agenda, a schedule. So
I can't go anywhere without my planner. That's
I don't even have a planner. I just use a notepad on my iPhone. So it's like, okay, well, I need to wake up at this time. Yeah. I'm gonna try to go to bed at this time. Okay, in the day I have 2 of these classes, 1 of this. This gives me like 6 hours, on a day that I have off from work. This gives me like 6 hours to do stuff. And then here's when I'm going to have lunch, and I'm going to have this. And most of the time I don't even go by that.
Yeah.
Because like I get sucked up in something. So, but the good thing is that I don't have to stay up at 4 in the morning anymore, because I wanted to keep this a little surprise, but this weekend we're relaunching.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So thank you. We finally got over everything. That is awesome. I can now go to bed at a reasonable time.
That is great.
And it's nuts. It was nuts having to go through every single loophole and every hoop and jump and leap and no shower.
I know how to like I'm bad at forgetting to eat. Like and it sounds like that's something stupid, like your body would remind you, but like sometimes you just sit there through those stomach growls not even realizing that
sometimes your head is just like zoning them out.
Yeah.
And like that's what happened when I this past winter. I actually went a whole day without eating, and I threw up.
Yeah.
I threw up, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have a cheese stick. I ate a cheese stick after regurgitating because I haven't eaten anything.
And the crazy part about that is like if you train yourself, or not train yourself, but like you become like immune to it almost, where you don't even realize you don't eat. It's hard to like eat a lot then. Like you
and I
really
noticed
eat
that
like
too,
small portions. That's why I was eating great like last year when I first went out, because I was in a dorm and everything was right in front of me, especially with the meal plan and everything. Now since I've been in an apartment the last year, having to make food for yourself, that is such a struggle to have to like get up and cook or put something together.
Yeah, slap a Sammy with with.
And I always took advantage of like my mom packing my lunch back in the day. And I don't know if did your dad pack your lunch or did you pack your lunch? I was
for like work or
like school, like high school.
I didn't even pack a lunch, man.
Oh,
because I had to commute like 20-25 minutes. I woke up in the morning. I shoved a Pop-Tart pack in my mouth.
Oh, you're talking about college.
College.
Okay.
But work-wise, I mean, now I don't even have time to make my own lunch. So I go there, and then on my break, I go to like Sheetz and get like.
I'm a fast food person
like
too, and it's
one hot dog for $2.
Well, I will say this, and I was just talking about my dad about this morning. Is like, he's like, although I'm paraphrasing him here too, but like, although it's hell, now like one day you're gonna wake up and just be like, that was worth it, and you're not even gonna think. And like that's what I think about now is like, there was definitely like a day in high school where I was like, this sucks, this is so hard, but like look at how far we are now. Like, I'm sure I don't even remember that day, because it's just like it's not important anymore, and I'm sure like that's 3 years down the road I'm gonna be saying the same thing. I don't even remember this, it's nuts.
And like if there's like anyone who's like in like going into business, I mean this could even help you out when you progress through like film
video
like that. The biggest thing is not just budgeting, but it's also like having confidence in what you're doing. And like I can't tell you how many times I've received like hate mail, like on YOLO or Instagram or negative feedback, and like it's gone past the point where it's not feedback, it's just like they're trying to pull me down. And I'm sure you've seen it because I replied to some of them on my Snapchat. But there's a lot that I haven't responded to that no one even knows about. When I first started, it was, this is a ripoff of American Eagle, you're not going to make it far, this is a waste of money, this is a knockoff, you're wasting your time, why are you doing this? And that was from the beginning, and then through time it got more aggressive, even to this very day. And there have been days where I sat down and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm about, like, am I really doing this correctly? Do I really want to do this? Or am I wasting my time and money? And then after that, I'd see people like, my friend Morgan, she did a photo shoot with a Valero shirt, and she was like, "Shop Valero, send tweet." And I'd always go back to posts like that, and even like the Valero family story spotlight that we have on Instagram. And I'd go through it. I'm like, there are people that still believe. I should not quit, because then that says something about my character if I quit now.
Yeah.
And at the end of the feedback poll, I said one question, and I said, "Do you still believe?" And 100% of the people who voted said yes. And I always go back to that poll. That's not one that's on public.
Yeah.
But I always go back to that poll, and I'm like, I'm gonna stay up that extra hour till 4 a.m, and I'm gonna get this done.
Yeah.
And that's why we're finally relaunching this weekend.
That's
and it's strange, man. Like, I remember when we celebrated our 1 year, I broke down crying after making the video, and especially since every year, because obviously it's only been 1 year, but every year that we're going to celebrate our 1 year is going to be another year, another reminder that the day that I launched my clothing brand, and I'm sure you've seen this photo as well, was the same day that I went to go visit my grandmother at the the nursing home.
Yeah.
And I came there, I went to her with the black Valero t-shirt, and she took a picture, and I literally celebrated the launch of one of the biggest projects in my life with her. And I always remember her saying, "You're gonna do something with this. Keep going. I'm proud of you." And then I remember that, and I'm like, if I stop, that memory is gonna be for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what pushes me forward with this. So
I think that's awesome. Definitely inspiring. And I know, and I was literally thinking about this before you came as well. Like, I mean, I know someone like you now with Valero. I know someone that I've worked with in the past, Max Jones with Maximum, Donnie Shields, who I'm currently like working with, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's got Shields of Hope and his own film company. Like, it's so easy to probably write these people off, like, and just think, and I mean, you too, and I mean, obviously, like, the people that are sending you hate stuff and things like that, like, to say that you won't make it, but then at the same time, you guys are the ones that are out there pushing, doing it, and all they're doing is spending less than 30 seconds typing some stupid freaking reply.
Yeah, and the only thing that they're doing is, like, probably going to college. And
yeah, and not that, not to diminish anybody like that, but, it's the people like yourself that are juggling 3 different things at once with a full-time job, a business, and school on top of that, and little sleep. You guys are always the ones that make it. It's always, you hear those stories or those success stories, and it's always those people.
It's the people who try to bring you down are the ones that wish they could put themselves out there. That's how it is.
Is that a Ezio Valeri trademark?
That's off the dome.
Off the dome?
Off the dome, trademark.
All right, I'm gonna quote that at the bottom of the screen. We'll put that. We'll put that. Yeah, we'll put that on the shirt.
That's how it is. One of my favorite rappers, Logic, he always said that haters hate on you because you're living the dream for them.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Because the biggest step is putting yourself out there. You have a name, but putting yourself out there and then making something of your name is different. That's the big step.
Mm-hmm.
You could, make something behind closed doors and then not doing anything with it, and then you're still Ezio Valeri. But I made something and I said, okay, here's advertising, and then here's publicity or whatever, and that's the biggest step. It's not what you do with whatever you made. It's literally just launching it out there for the world to see. And the people who hate on you, they don't know what goes behind everything. Like with Donnie Shields or Max Jones and even me, they don't know, like, staying up till 4 a.m, not drinking or not partying or not watching Netflix. It's just behind the screen, managing inventory and managing a website and doing this, that, and a third, and responding to feedback and setting up. I spent like 2 hours doing legal stuff with the terms of service. That was fun. Yeah. Especially when it gets to European customers. Oh man. Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
I wouldn't even know where to begin with that stuff.
No, it's basically like a disclosure on, like, we don't sell your data. But then it's like a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Like managing the taxes, man. Like,
oh God, I can't even.
But they don't realize what goes behind it, and it's so easy for them to say, "You suck," and it's so easy.
Yeah, I know.
Like, after I responded to one of them, literally immediately after, I got a newsletter subscription that said "Kiss my ass" at yahoo.com.
Really?
Rent free. I have a condominium in their head.
Yeah.
I literally have a mansion in their head, rent-free, that they put the time to literally set up a password and an email and subscribe to my newsletter just for me to read a 1-second read on their email.
Yeah.
That's called rent-free. That's literally how it goes, and it's nuts how people want to tear you down, because it could literally be you and me. You know what I mean? It could be the person right next to you that's sending you that stuff.
I promise. It wasn't.
No,
It wasn't me.
But it could literally be anyone. It could be the person that's telling you, yeah, keep going. You know, screw the haters. And it could be them. And that's the nuts thing about it.
I always think of James Franco from The Interview. They hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because they ain't us.
He's motherfucking peanut butter and jealous.
He's not jealous.
He's putting KY jealous all over his dick.
What is there to be jealous of?
Fuckers hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because we anus? The fuck does an anus have to do with
They
this?
hate us because they ain't us.
That's not what it is.
Yes, it is.
No.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for being the first film podcast. I don't know which order I'm going to release them. There's no like specific order or reason why. I have like a list on my on paper, but it just depends on when I edit them and when I get like my teacher's approval and things like that, because I got to do so much post work. So honestly, this might not be up for the next month or so. I mean, I'm sorry. And especially with that'd be perfect with the relaunch and everything.
Yeah.
Now that'd be perfect advertisement.
No, I'm
for
just
it.
excited to watch it.
All right, I promise. At some point, it will be out. Definitely by the end of the semester.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna hopefully get all of them first and then edit through and see. Yeah, because like I'd love to put something together at the end of like a mashup from all of them, like that I'd show at the end of the semester to my class. You know, just like the highlights or like important things that were said, because I mean you just said a million important things that like I can't wait to go back and watch and things like that now. So I mean, before I wrap up, is there anything like final words that you'd like to say or anything like that?
And this kind of pertains to this kind of podcast. It's people don't realize that the biggest thing that's wrong with what's going on in this country, and even in many places around the world, is political party tribalism. And that is the worst thing. Literally far right and far left.
Yeah.
All right? That's what's tearing us apart. Because they don't want to sit down like we are. They don't want to talk civilly like we are. And the only kind of information they get is from Facebook pixelated memes with no information whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't like CNN, and I don't like Fox, and I don't like Huffington Post, and I don't like Fox.
Yeah.
I can't. Breitbart. There we go.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that they're not a smart, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but because of what they do, they're not being a smart consumer of information.
Oh no, they're targeting their group of people and they're telling them what they want to hear. That's why, it is, I mean, someone that does watch Fox a lot, and I'm in that category, like, for sure, I always got to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, it's easy to, hear what you want to hear, believe what you want to believe, but then at the end of the day, is that a fact or is that an opinion?
Yeah.
And the way that they say it, sometimes it sounds so convincing that it's a fact.
Yeah,
and
like,
I feel
like what Tucker Carlson does with a lot of his stuff.
Yes, and I'm a huge fan of him, but at the same time, a lot of it's opinionated, and his hour-long thing is an opinionated talk show.
And
like,
that's why I don't watch CNN. That's why I don't watch Huffington Post. That's why I don't watch Fox. That's why I don't listen to Breitbart. Breitbart should never be considered a legitimate source of news.
I'm not familiar with that one.
So Breitbart, it's literally a free speech platform, which doesn't sound bad. The thing is, the majority of them are opinionated and biased and right-leaning.
Yeah.
And the sources that they do are not 100%.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot of conservatives like Louder with Crowder.
Oh,
Crowder?
Yes, I've heard Steven Crowder.
Steven Crowder.
People were just telling me about him, I forget, like last week or something like that. I'm not really...
He uses Breitbart.
Okay.
And, this is a free speech platform. Literally anyone could go on and write something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like a news agency. But one thing that I always do is I look at multiple sources. Like CNN could say something, and I'd be like, okay, well, what did The Guardian say?
Mm-hmm.
What did BBC say? What did this and that say? What about Snopes and fact checking? People make fun of fact checking. There are people that use it so ridiculously much, and they kind of make it embarrassing to fact check. But fact checking is useful because when you fact check something, you see the sources on why it's wrong or right.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is the double standard in media in this country, where, I voted for Biden, not because I like Biden, but because I thought with the rhetoric that was in office before was getting a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it was getting dangerous.
You're not going to say anything that offends me.
Yeah, no, I know.
I heard it all.
It was getting,
that's my biggest probably pet peeve with him as well, is the professionalism, and I think that's what brought him down.
Yeah, and it was getting dangerous even for my father because, like hate crimes, for example, are, rising steadily with Asians.
For sure, I've seen a
with
lot
Asians,
of that
and,
yeah.
The rhetoric on, China virus, this, that,
Mm-hmm.
third, kind of influenced it, and same with the rhetoric with the insurrection and stuff like that. But that's why I voted against him, because his rhetoric, especially against immigrants, or how it's conceived by, his group of people that follow him, it could get my father hurt as soon as my dad opens his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the biggest things. And then, of course, the whole thing with COVID and, it's a hoax made by China, whatever. And, as someone who's lost a loved one, my grandmother, to COVID, I took that to the polls, too.
Yeah.
Especially since when she was on her deathbed, and my aunt, who kind of has been brainwashed by Trump, said out loud, with my grandma still living, her own mother, and said this virus is a hoax. And I don't really know what kind of thing goes through your head that it's affecting your loved one who's about to pass away from it, and you say that.
Yeah.
And the rhetoric just got a little too dangerous. That's why I voted. I don't care too much about Biden. He lived up to a few promises when he first got in. Now he just does cameos of himself walking around. And they campaign on $2,000 stimulus checks. We're getting 1,400 stimmies. The $600 apparently did something. That could buy you a cheap iPhone, maybe. It's like,
that's what my parents were just talking about, like that people were like bragging, like, oh, people are gonna be able to pay their rent and do this and this now, and it's like, I don't know who pays their rent for $1,400, or like more than like 2 months.
I don't know who pays their rent for $600. Because
yeah.
Literally, a not so good apartment in this area is like $750 plus, with added fees.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a $600 stimulus check.
This will be a joke, but how long do you estimate before Kamala takes over? Or how long do you give it? Because, I mean, I know, like, a lot of people voted for him,
Mm-hmm.
nothing against it, but, like, obviously, he's not all 100% there.
To be fair, both choices were pretty bad.
Yeah, that's what I, like, it seemed like a lot of people were choosing the lesser of two evils on one side or the other.
It should be,
and it's not how it should be at all.
Yeah, because, I mean, Trump has also shown signs of early term dementia.
Yeah.
He couldn't pick up a glass with one hand.
There are things that, like,
I never drank water like that. But
I know there are things on both sides that you could get them for.
Yeah,
and that's
especially
like,
with age, because they're both far from young.
Yeah.
So, but I think if anything, it's going to be around the 2-year mark.
Really?
I think so. I don't think
midterm elections.
Yeah.
I mean, not that matters.
But I don't think it's going to be in the first year, because we're already like
it's a long way.
A month and a half in to the presidency, are we?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't.
So, but like, nothing's happened to him.
Yeah.
In a month and a half.
Yeah.
I'd say minimum a year and a half in. Minimum, if he shows how he is now.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. Kamala Harris, in regards to her, congratulations on being the first woman vice president.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said many times before, I will 100% vote for a woman for office, regardless of what position they're choosing.
I think there needs to be, like, qualifications.
Yeah,
though.
and
like,
I was going to say that. Like,
not
if you are qualified, I will vote for you.
Yes.
And I was proud of this country because she is a woman, first person of color, and first Asian, because she has Asian ethnicity. And I think they said East Asian?
I know both of her parents are from two different places.
Yeah.
I believe one's like Asian heritage, one's Jamaican, I want to say, but I could be. I don't have the facts in front of me.
But either way, it was a huge milestone.
Yes.
The first biggest was Barack Obama, of course.
Yeah.
We had the televised, what's it called? Election.
Mm-hmm.
the swearing in of the presidency in 5th grade.
Yeah,
it was
actually,
huge. It was
I forgot
huge.
about that, yeah.
It was huge. We saw an African American get voted in. That's massive.
And, we didn't realize it.
We didn't.
Like,
we didn't realize.
fifth
We're just
grade,
like we're just in 5th grade.
just another guy.
Bro,
Yeah.
he seems all right. But yeah, that was huge. And then Kamala Harris, she seems kind of sus with.
Yeah, I
Was
don't
it
know where I
California?
stand. What?
California?
I
Yeah.
believe she was. Yeah. She was what?
Senator.
Senator. I want to say. Yeah. It's so bad. Like.
Congresswoman?
I don't want to get it wrong. I'll just put the fact at the bottom
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
screen.
I
Whatever
think
she
it's
like.
senator. I think it's senator. I think it's
Senator.
senator.
Yeah. She's done shady things there as well, and I don't
Like the incarceration of African Americans.
Yeah, and that's it's like we'll judge you when you get to where where you're going,
We'll
kind of
cross
thing.
that bridge.
Like
Yeah.
now I think Biden's been in long enough that we kind of see where it's
See a little shake
going.
Yeah.
I'd give her a shot. I'd give anybody a shot.
give-
At this
yeah.
point, I'd give anybody a shot.
Yeah.
But prove yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
when Trump first got elected, I gave it a few months, like just to see what's forming, and there wasn't really anything that stood out to me besides like him not acting professional, and just stupid rhetoric, or like stepping over the boundaries sometimes.
That's what I've. I mean, I'm not to cut you off
Yeah.
there too, but I mean, at least as far as like why people don't like Trump, that would be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is words and like people saying words matter and things like that. And I'm one of those people that I see where that comes from, and I see that that's wrong, but at the same time too, now he's not an outsider, but I'd consider him that back then he was an outsider, and all throughout his presidency, in my opinion, in my view, he was someone that spoke his mind and had a set of balls. And I know that's probably controversial to even say there too. And a lot of the things didn't offend me, but then again, a lot of the things didn't pertain to me either. Like
I mean, there was like when he made fun of the handicapped
special needs
reporter,
yeah.
and I mean, never has anyone seen a president
do that. Yeah.
So I mean, anyone can look at that and be like, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But and then there was like,
I mean, the thing that nobody talks about either is like, and I'm not trying to pinpoint anything either, but like I remember seeing right before the election, like Biden back in the '80s in Congress saying the N-word like out loud.
That the schools would be jungle gyms.
Well,
right?
not only that, but he said like the N-word several times,
Oh,
like
yeah, he
in
did.
Congress.
Yeah, he did.
And like, but back in the '80s, I'm not that that's like, oh, that's okay because it was back then, but like nobody brings that up. And but then again, too, Trump said 1,000 things. I'm sure Biden said 1,000 things.
They've both done a lot.
They've both done a lot.
And the biggest thing is when you acknowledge both of them.
Yeah.
And when I was very critical of Trump on Twitter, especially because he tweets something and you're like, that's a retweet, and then a quote, because it's so easy to pick out because it was bad. But
I think in terms of social media, obviously as the leader of the country, you should definitely be more careful as to what you post.
Or just take a little break from it.
Yeah, that too.
Because he was just nonstop all caps, maybe 5 times a day.
Yeah.
But
I hate Twitter. I don't look at Twitter.
I mean, Twitter's just fun for the memes. There's some good memes on there.
I've been
Other than
that,
so it's like you say anything and you might get canceled on there, and the crowds they're vicious, man. They will eat you alive. Yeah. For no reason whatsoever. I've never seen a platform like that. Yeah. But it was
Yik Yak. Throwback.
Throwback.
Freshman year. Oh my god. I won't get on that.
That was bad. That was bad.
That was like a week span, and then it went away. I never heard about it again.
No, it was literally because it got canceled everywhere because of how bad it got. But it's just people just need to be more informed with multiple news sources. You can't just listen to Tucker Carlson. You can't just listen to whoever's on CNN. I don't watch them that much. I don't even know.
Yeah, no.
You can't just listen to Ben Shapiro. You can't just listen to Crowder. I do listen to Ben Shapiro though. Yeah. I do enjoy, because a lot of the stuff he says, he does have fact sources to back him up. Yeah. And he's legitimate in how he talks. He does sound like a 12-year-old boy stuck in a grown man's body, but I mean, I do enjoy watching.
Did you ever see the WAP remix with him when he says it?
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull-out game weak.
Whores
Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive.
Oh, yeah. So when he's reading the lyrics, so funny.
It was bad,
oh my
man.
Gosh.
But
one person that I really like, I don't know if you ever listened to Charlie Kirk, but
I heard of him, yeah.
He spits facts.
Facts.
He literally straight bars.
I think one of the biggest people who spits facts is Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Like, because I've seen videos where he just demolishes someone so badly.
You ever hear Candace Owens too?
Candace Owens, I know.
I love her. She's great too.
I never listened to her
because
I didn't even know she existed until about a month ago when she made fun of AOC for the immigration photo shoot or something like that.
Oh yeah,
With
about the
fence.
Teardrops. I saw that. Yeah.
That looked a little cheesy. I've never been a fan of AOC.
I don't even understand what she does or what her platform
You don't understand
is.
what she does?
Like I know what she is. She just seems like a talking head to me. Like I don't ever see any. I don't have the facts on me right now, so people can come at me however they want about it. But like, in my opinion, she's a young. I don't know what like background is she from? Is it?
I think she's Hispanic.
Hispanic. Okay.
I mean, her last name's Cortez.
Cortez. Okay. So she's a young Hispanic woman in government, and I think that pushes her to this pedestal that a lot of people put her on. And this is just my opinion. Again, I don't. But like,
I mean, it's something major though.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and I think that people elevate her so much that it's like, oh, she could say anything. It's whatever. Like, and I only know, like, I'm really familiar with her with like the Green New Deal and stuff, and like, that's a whole other issue I won't even get into because I know we're getting off topic here completely. But you know, it's just, again, and I'll wrap this up. Like, I'm so thankful and grateful that you were willing to come to talk to me about this because this is what needs to happen.
Yeah, that's literally
and we're not fighting, and that was the main goal.
No.
Like my teachers and my professors. I have two of them. They're great, helped me out so much with everything. And they're like, their main thing when I was writing this proposal was like, how are you going, like, what if a fight does like occur or like it starts or something? Like, it's very easy to get heated about some of these things. And I'm like, I don't think, like, you know, even if I was interviewing a stranger, not that I'm just like interviewing people that I know, like I was debating between the two. Like, do I interview strangers? Do I debate, or I mean, do I talk to people that I know? And I thought, I know enough people that disagree with me somewhat, but that would be great guests to talk to that also have their own platforms and things to advertise as well, especially you with Valero. So, you know, I gathered this list of people, and then before I knew it, I was already at like 10 people, and I was like, that's enough. That's a lot. I mean,
to start off with.
At least. Yeah. And again, so what were you going to say?
People, fights only happen when you let them happen. As soon as you insult the other person, you've already lost the discussion.
Yes.
If I had $1 for every time I got called a liberal, and I'm not a liberal, I would literally not even have to start my own clothing brand. All right? I've been called a liberal. I've been called a socialist. I've been called everything in the book: a communist, a socialist, a liberal, a this, a that, far lefty, whatever. I despise far sides of both spectrums. Yeah. I think
most people can testify to that as well.
Yeah, because they're radicals.
Yes.
Radicals are terrible on both sides. Antifa, which, by the way, everyone doesn't like fascism. Yeah. They have a good statement. They do it in such a terrible way. Why? It's like...
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. Right side's got like the Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys who
that
assault the press, independent press.
Yeah.
For what? And QAnon.
I have no idea what that is. I'll be completely honest. I've heard that talked about so many times. I couldn't.
It's a legitimate group that's made through 4chan, the anonymous thread, and I'm sorry. I don't. They're a bunch of conspiracy theorists, essentially. And they support Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh yeah.
The woman who said that Sandy Hook never happened and that planes
Jewish something or space or
I think she said Holocaust never happened. And
there's something about space in there.
That that planes never hit the towers or something like that.
I thought there was something about Jews in space. I have no idea. I that sounds really bad.
She's the female equivalent of Alex Jones.
Yeah.
It's someone who should not have a seat of power. But yeah, and it's essentially don't assume someone is one, political stance.
Yeah.
I literally said I disagree with Trump on something,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a huge paragraph like this just from one person in 5 minutes. No, it was 3 minutes of me posting it, and it was like, oh, so you're a far lefty, socialist, communist, liberal. You want to vote far lefties into, and I'm like, okay, first off, there's a difference between communism and socialism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
every program that we have in this country, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, in literally funding that goes to infrastructure and first responders and everything, that is socialism.
Yeah.
When you take funds and put them towards the community.
Break it down essentially.
Yeah, that is, it's literally called Social Security. Okay, and then you want that when you retire. Then why are you
Yeah.
hating on socialism? Now, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist.
Yeah.
I am literally a Democrat because they have a lot more views that I like, pro-choice and some gun control,
Yeah.
and that I agree with. So I went with Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm leaning into libertarian, right in the
Yes.
middle. And another thing, we're not trying to take guns away, okay? The majority of Democrats not only exercise the Second Amendment, they just want people who should not have guns get them.
Mhm.
Like with Oregon, when they passed a law that if you have a history of domestic violence, you should not have a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
That's reasonable. You're taking away their Second Amendment, but if they have a long history of causing harm and violence to spouses or partners and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah,
that,
for sure.
they're going to do something with a gun one day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. Now radicals, they're like, yeah, do the buyback program, yeah, just like Australia and UK did, and then we're gonna suffer what UK does with the knife crimes. So yeah, no, it's just people have so many misconceptions on both sides,
Yeah.
and it's just also everyone needs to stop sharing the population density map of the United States. Do you see that?
I think I know what you're talking about, but
I'm so sick of it, man. They're like, if there's so much red in this country,
Yes.
why did the small amount of blue win?
Yep.
Okay, so Wyoming has like 3 people every 200 miles, and it's all red. Okay, New York City has 9 million people in it.
And just for our audiences watching at home, you want to help me out here, bud?
Yes, sir. We're gonna prove that we're socially distancing.
Let's see here. Hold on. Wait. There we go. 6 feet. I mean,
6
I guess
feet.
I'm cheating a little bit, right? When you said my elbows are.
With the elbows a little
elbows are
bit,
right here.
but
I've been
yeah.
sitting like this the whole time.
Yeah, we've been
So
sitting
we
like
are-
that.
we
How about
are-
our heads? Are heads good?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I got tested right before I came home, so
Yeah.
I should be good.
Nah, I've been
But
through-
I don't take it as a joke or anything like
Yeah.
that. I want to make that clear.
Nah,
but
it's all
I'm just,
satire and fun.
yeah. So I mean, again, thank you so much. And I guess the last thing would be, where can everybody find Valero clothing? What's the website? or social
You
media?
can find Valero Clothing at Twitter and Instagram at This Is Valero and www.valeroclothing.com.
Awesome.
Yes,
And
sir.
something I'm going to ask all my guests, which I was talking about right before we started, if there was one foundation platform or something that you would want people to donate to, I'll put this in the bottom of the video and also the description to the video, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What was the organization that you were talking about?
NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They work on educating on mental illness, raising awareness for it, and they help out with a lot in trying to find some way to help people with mental illness, whether it's medication or therapy and stuff like that. Because there's a stigma around mental illness, and people are either scared to talk about it, they don't feel comfortable to talk about it, or there's other people who make fun of them for talking about it. And there's thousands upon thousands of people that die in the United States every year from suicide or something that has to deal with mental illness. And if we can just start the conversation and join the conversation, there's going to be a lot less, and there's going to be a lot of changes that are going to happen in the communities.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
That is awesome, and I'll just finish up real quick too. I don't know if you saw it, but last semester for the same class that I'm part of now, I did a documentary with 2 people on the Jana Marie Foundation, which is a organization that, like, you can go. I don't necessarily believe that it's like a counseling service, but they find places for you to places that you can reach out to or things like that, or organizations or people that can help you with what you're dealing with. And the woman that founded it, her sister committed suicide years ago, and so we interviewed a bunch of people. Her name was Marissa Valeri, a very nice person. We interviewed her and the whole crew there, and just about the stigma of mental health, because I was one of those people that not necessarily made fun of it, but I questioned, how am I happy all the time and all these other people are sad? Why are all these other people on medicine or drugs or not drugs, but prescription medication, those kinds of things. And especially this last year now, I've seen a difference, and also working with Jana Marie Foundation, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I think that's the best thing is, if you don't understand something, and this is perfect that we're just kind of reiterates our point. If you don't understand something, the best thing to do is talk about it, look into it, find out more about it. So yeah, I'm really glad that's something that you're advocating
because for the majority of my life, I've suffered from severe depression, medical depression. I think that's what they call it. They just said severe depression. So, and there have been multiple times that I almost took my own life. 3 times to be exact, and that's why I actually have this tattoo. Every line is a time that I almost, left. But they're not clotheslines because I never went through with it. And in high school, I even won most humorous in high school because I covered it up with humor. I covered it up with, making people laugh and everything. And it's like a face. And when I first came out about it, because not, everyone knows, honestly, you're one of the first people. You're one of the first people that I even told that about just now. You're one of the first people to know about it.
Are you okay with me?
Yeah, no, you can use it because we need to start the conversation somewhere. And then when someone looks at me, I've had people say this, the ones that know, you were the last person I expected that. Just because I covered it up with humor, I covered it up with this and that. And it can be anyone. There are people who use it as a trend. I'm going to go through an emo goth. I'm going to go through an emo boy phase, stuff like that. But then there are people that are actually suffering. And we've seen that with G. We've seen that with our good friend Ethan.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no one knew until it happened. And, after, I've gotten help, obviously. The last time that I almost took my life was my 19th birthday. Literally on the day. And then literally just the day after, I went to go get help. I'm fine now. The war isn't over, but I won the battle. But it's just people need to realize what is happening with other people. I suffered from severe depression because, my parents got divorced. I always wanted a full family. I always felt like a half sibling to my siblings because we have different fathers instead of a full sibling. I always felt like not one of the top child, favoritism with sibling. And, bullying in elementary, middle, sometimes in high school, very toxic and bad relationships and stuff like that. And it builds up until, I'm sitting there in my childhood bed looking out the window at the sunset with a gun pointed to my head. And after about, it's going to be almost 2 years, I think it's over 2 years now, since I got help. After not doing it, I'm so glad that I didn't do it, because there's a lot of things that I'm doing, that I've accomplished, and the main message is that at the very end of the line, suicide is never the option. It's never the option. It's never the answer. It shouldn't even be on the table. And that's easy to say. I've been there, and you hear it all the time. Don't do it. Don't do something to hurt yourself. When you are in such a deep trench, you don't even hear other people talk. There have been times where my ears literally zoned other people out. And, there needs to be a huge discussion about it, and it needs to be taught more a lot in schools, and people need to stop using it as a trend, and there needs to be a way bigger discussion about it, way more open, where people aren't made fun of about mental illness. So,
Well, thank you. Obviously I had no idea about that, so I appreciate you being willing to talk about that. And again, I consider it bullying for sure. What I used to make fun of you for Star Wars, and frankly, I didn't understand it, and I deeply apologize for that, because I'm now a fan. So like it's.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about Star Wars, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And actually, the one thing that I didn't bring up that I have written down here that I want to make sure I bring up. This is kind of like a funny thing, but do you remember the list that you used to have in like kindergarten, first grade? I'm so glad you. This just reminded me of that.
It was first grade, and it was a little like cardboard paper kind of plastic pad, from a GI Joe box, and with like radio coordinates and stuff. And I go, "You're off the list."
Yeah, it was who was coming over that weekend.
Yeah. It was who's coming over to my house, and freaked out. Remember?
Yes.
He freaked out, man.
Oh my gosh.
He'd be like, "I want to be on the list," and I'd be like,
I remember freaking out. Yeah, so I'm right there with him. But
I was like, man, I had the power.
Yeah, you were like a dictator back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The tyranny in first grade.
We didn't know it then, but oh my gosh, I'm glad that literally 15 years later we've gotten past that list. So.
Oh yeah, you're on the list now.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming to join me in my first filmed one. I hope that it turns out good. And actually, now that like everything that we've talked about now, I really think that maybe this weekend I'll maybe try to put this one out first. And I think it's very important. And if I have the time, just release this one right away. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
I went like a million different directions, and my professors want like a specific topic on each one, and for yours, like I had written down like Valero, and then also like I knew like I was gonna ask you about your dad with the immigration and everything else. Like those are my main points there with that, because I told my professors, and they're very lenient and very understanding with everything. I was like, I really don't know where these conversations are going to go, and I don't care where they go. Like, I want it to be what I envisioned it to be, and this was a perfect representation
this is literally
of that.
as authentic and off the rails.
Because, like, at first, I started off really nervous. Like, 5 minutes in, I felt like we were just having a competent conversation. Yeah, the only reason I felt like such a butthole that I had to keep checking the time, but that's just because of the camera. But, yeah, no,
when we first started, I didn't even know if I was supposed to look at the camera while you were talking to me.
Oh, yeah, no.
So I'm just, like, in the chair, like... looking at you while you're looking at the camera.
No,
but then,
you're good. I think it would be more awkward if we stared at the camera the whole time. But just like asking each other questions but staring at the camera at the same time. And I mean, Sheldon didn't cause too much of a problem, so we made a special guest appearance throughout. Yeah. So. Yeah, but dude, thank you.
Yeah, this was my first ever podcast. It was fun. I will literally do this anytime that you invite me over, man. I got you.
If I continue with it, because again, is something that like I'm not being forced to do, but like it's helping me and want to accomplish it also through a class at the same time. Mm-hmm. So like if I ever have time eventually, like I love to interview strangers and even more people, but like for the time being, I really wanted to hit some people on this list that I had that I was like, these would be great.
I mean, we hit some really huge issues.
Yeah.
Along with like fun stuff.
Yeah.
The biggest issue being The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Out of everything that's going on in the world,
that was the most serious one.
The Last Jedi.
Life impacting, man.
But that sound effect was pretty cool. That when they did the
that.
I always hear that's like the best thing that came out of that was that scene.
That was literally one of the coolest shots in cinema for like one of the probably the worst Star Wars movie. I would rather watch episode 1 over that.
Oof, Jar Jar Binks.
I take that back, episode 2.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite episode before we end this? Be careful.
I'm a fan of The Last Jedi, like I said, but I don't think it would be my favorite one. Force Awakens, it introduced me to the world that I wasn't familiar with, but when I was younger, the only one I had watched fully was the third one, which is Revenge of the Sith. That one I effed with heavily. That one's dope. What's the dude with the several arms?
Oh, General Grievous?
Yeah. Dude, I remember that fight scene with him and I think Obi-Wan when they're in like the...
Hello there.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Yeah, and he like.
Yeah,
Like, that was
that is
cool.
my favorite episode. It is widely regarded as the best episode.
Yeah.
And a lot
And
of
it's
people,
funny because the sequel trilogy that I know a lot of people like hate on, but
no, it's the prequel trilogy.
or prequel,
Yeah,
prequel.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, a
my
lot of
bad.
people hate on the prequel because episode 1 was garbage. It had, and every episode has good parts in it.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was garbage. Episode 2 was like, eh.
Yeah.
You have this older woman grooming Anakin.
But I guess the best way to end it would be on a high note.
Oh my!
So.
They did a really high note. One of the greatest fleet battles. One of the great cinematography. The best lightsaber duels in the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's funny because I remember watching that in elementary school for the first time. Like, wow, this is awesome. And that was 2005, I think,
Yeah.
right? And so it had to have been like a couple years after that. But like watching it now, it's like, holy shit! Like how far production has come and like special effects and all CGI and all those other things.
No, that movie is like top tier Star Wars. And people are like, okay, but what about Empire Strikes Back? And like these are like two of the best.
And the thing that's it's hard for me because watching the old ones after watching the new ones, it was like it was tarnished for me. Like I
especially in New Hope.
Yeah, like they're I'm gonna offend people when I say this. They're boring to me. Like it was hard to get through some of them, and not all of them, but some. And even like the Empire Strikes Back one that like I knew the ending of, and everybody always talked about.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I was like, this shit's kind of boring. But then again, I wasn't one of those people that grew up on it back in the day, and like I feel like it would be so much different had I grown up on it and then saw the new ones.
If it makes you feel better, as a hardcore Star Wars fan,
yeah,
I refuse to watch A New Hope again.
Really,
it is boring. Okay. And I say that with the utmost respect for what they did back in the 1970s. It's nuts what they did.
And that's what people had to wait for like 5 years.
Yeah.
There was like 3 or 4 years.
It was
between
a few years between
each one.
When The Empire Strikes Back happened.
Yeah.
But
can you imagine no internet conspiracies or anything like that?
The thing is, the Return of the Jedi, Episode 6,
yeah,
it came out in the 1980s, and you had to wait all the way till 1999.
Yeah.
2000.
People died. Fans died within that amount of time.
Fans died, and they didn't even get to witness it, man.
Yeah.
But no, A New Hope, it's boring, man. It has like decent parts in it. It's boring, but when you compare it to like Return of the Jedi and Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, it has nothing on those. The Empire Strikes Back, the Battle of Hoth, I would rather rewatch that than A New Hope.
Okay.
It's
next interview with you. We're gonna have a round table with. He'll join. Yeah, I know. I love him, but he was such a huge Star Wars fan. It was so funny. I don't know if I'll leave that in. I don't want to name drop him in particular. I'll probably bleep out that thing there too. I'll just put it like a bleep.
Bleep. Redacted.
He just goes silent. People will be like,
when you talked about the Washington logo, Washington redacted.
Oh yeah, I said the Redskins.
Yeah. You canceled
I
now,
might be
man.
canceled before it's even begun.
You're gonna get canceled before that you
even hits
upload it. Yeah. And I'm gonna get canceled because of association.
Oh yes, guilty by association. You better scramble then.